Hi guys, my name is Elliot Harlin Bethel and this channel is about energy healing, personal development and following my journey utilising different forms of fasting as a healing modality. And today I wanted to talk about relationships, because coming from a guy who had loads of relationships when he was younger, a string of sort of about 6 or 7 long-term 2-year relationships, I think it was I remember my sister saying to one of my last girlfriends, "Oh, you've hit the 2-year mark now, I better say goodbye," because it was a recurring process that after 2 years I just split up with every girlfriend. And looking back on it, it was every single relationship I've had, be it whether it was sexual or business or family or anything, I've really started to notice now that every relationship is myself pushed out. That ultimately all my relationships are a reflection of what I need to work on. That there's a lot of, when you become the observer, or you start to take inaction in action and action in inaction, which is a great saying. I'd look up if I was you guys. As I say, I always just talk about things that have helped me and then ask you guys to look into it yourselves. But I started to observe and notice that what I felt I needed to work on within myself was being reflected back. So I did a lot of work around Ho'oponopono, which is an ancient Hawaiian shamanic practice. It's an energy healing forgiveness practice where I sat down and revisited all of my past relationships and healed the energy around them, and in effect thanking every single relationship I've ever had for being the greatest teacher that I've had, because all of those relationships taught me that I needed to go within and work on myself. So 2 months ago I put out a little call to the universe to ask for some couples to work with the personal development and energy work that I do. And within 1 week I had a couple of couples come to me, and we started working through some processes that I used myself after my last relationship 4 years ago. And one of the first things I would always say is the relationship with yourself is the most important relationship you will ever have, because ultimately this relationship you have with yourself, if you love yourself fully, this is reflected back to you in all the business partners and the lovers that you have. But if you have some shame or guilt within yourself, you're always going to have this reflected back to you from the outside world, because as within, so without, as above, so below. So when you clean that inside of the cup, you start to notice that the outside of the cup is clean. So when you have an internal purging and cleaning, and you reassess your morals, and you have a real an internal clean out, you start to notice that your outside world then has a clean out as well. I've noticed massively since this lockdown, and I see this as the best thing that's happened for humanity, because 4 years ago when I split up with my last partner, I spent around 6 months to 9 months just on my own, in my own energy. And when you observe things and you start to notice you're not within anybody else's energy field, your aura is very pure, you really start to notice who and what you really are. In effect, we've always been balanced, whole and complete, but a lot of TV media and teachings will have you believing that you need to search for someone or something outside of yourself in order to be complete. People talk about soulmates and twin flames. Now, you will never meet a soulmate or a twin flame unless you become whole within. You've always been a whole, but until you balance your masculine and feminines, your dark and light, your positive and negative aspects, and become balanced, then you will never find these things outside of yourself. You're just constantly looking for a maze for something that's already within you, but until you complete this process within yourself, you won't find it out yourself. But then as soon as you heal it and you refragment all parts of yourself that have always been there, but maybe you just haven't focused on them, when you put your focus, attention and energy back onto them and re-assimilate all of these parts of yourself, in effect balancing them all and becoming whole. And it's hard for me to explain with real clarity at the moment. Sometimes it's hard for me to put words to what I'm thinking, but basically you've always been whole, balanced and complete, but because some things outside of you have tried to trick you into thinking you're not, we take on sometimes these programs, paradigms or beliefs, and we need to work on them a little bit in order to realize our own power again. So there's a great book called The Celestine Prophecy, and within this book they talk about how when we're born we're kind of this, and in the writings when you read the text below, I'm going to use a bracket for the symbol, and when we meet someone and it's exciting and it's fun, and I found this with all of my 7 long-term relationships, that person comes along and when we come together it forms this, which is really exciting, it's great, we feel complete, we feel whole, but ultimately after 6 months we start to see the things in that person that we need to work on within ourselves. We start to, for myself, jealousy was a very, very big one. I know for a lot of you guys out there, jealousy is a big one. Mine was also patience. I was never very patient with partners, so I needed to learn in myself to become patient with people. I needed to learn how to trust people, because ultimately I didn't trust myself. And when I stepped away and I become patient with myself, and then I began to trust myself and to embody integrity and various other aspects that I started to affirm every day and started to speak my truth, ultimately these are the relationships and business partners and lovers that I'm now meeting, because ultimately what you want to do is become this within yourself, so that then when you meet someone who is also this, it has some longevity to it, because you're already whole, you've already found yourself. It's not like you're finding a £5 note, it's you're returning to yourself, because you've always been balanced, whole and complete. So finding yourself is a wrong term, scrap that, cancel, clear, delete. It's refinding your power, stepping back into your sovereignty, your freedom and your power. So Ho'oponopono is something I definitely recommend you guys. I'll write that up here for you guys. I'm going to do a video on that, because it was great for me to thank and to clear the energy around all my past relationships. And one of the things I've been working on with a few of these couples is I would get them to write a list of all the things that I find annoying in their partner at the moment, and then I would get them to write a list of all the things that they admire and they love in their partner. And then I get them to spend some time apart so they're in their own energy fields, because we can trigger each other very easily, especially if we've not healed certain aspects of ourselves. When you spend time with that partner, if you've been together for a long time and you have aspects of yourselves that you need to work on, you need to heal on, it can be the gunfight at the OK Corral. It's just the biggest fucking trigger fest, and I've had loads of relationships like this. But when you spend some time in your own energy and you sit and you look at all the things that annoy you in your partner, and then you work on healing those aspects within yourself, when you go back to see that partner, it's almost like you've healed those aspects in them as well, because all you needed to do was work on yourself. You can't change this outside world. This outside world's a reflection of your inner world, so forget about trying to change anything out here. That's just, you might as well just fucking ram your head against the wall all day. But when you go within and you work on yourself, this just changes rapidly. So once you spend some time in your own energy field and you heal that within yourself, it's then reflected back. And I speak this from experience. So when I talk to you, this is stuff that I've experienced, and this is stuff that now I've had the opportunity to work with several couples, a couple of couples. It's now become very apparent to me that this is how I see it working, this is how it's worked for them, this is how it's worked for me, and this is how I see it could work for you if you so choose to do these processes yourself, or if you would like more information on any of these spiritual processes, mind process, body processes, then please do email me at Mind, Body, Soul, Spirit Coach, or just comment in the section below. As always, lots of love. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Yeah, namaste.